5,
You can count.
4, I just did 2. Here we go. Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday, April 8th edition of the Community Development Advisory Committee. We have a couple of absences. Councillor Wilsey and Wendy is not with us this evening. Looking for approval of the agenda for the April 8th, 2025 Community Development Advisory Committee. Need a mover and a seconder. Steve and Brad, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Are there any declaration of pecuniary interest this evening? Seeing none, we'll move to the approval of the minutes from the CDAC meeting held on February the 11th of 2025. Approved as written. Mover and a seconder. Donna and Jagger. Questions, comments, edits? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Unfinished business, we'll turn over to the director for schedule of fees review.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to let everyone know that we're out and about doing a fee review for 2026. So what that means is I'm looking for the piece of paper. We're reaching out to all of our county partners, so all of the other lower tiers that have recreation venues, as well as different programming. Typically, we would focus in on Thames Centre and Middlesex Centre because they're a similar size of population. You'll notice that the smaller centres, their rates tend to be a little bit lower. But we've also sent the survey out to Town of Amherstburg, Essex, Kingsville, Lincoln, Tecumseh, Tillsonburg, Cobourg, Essa, Huntsville, Wilmot, Centre Wellington, and Ingersoll. We will be reaching out to the City of London as well as St. Thomas, just simply because they're close. I know City of London is 400,000+ people, but just out of curiosity to see where their fees are compared to ours. City of St. Thomas is from Strathroy is about 40 minutes away, but from portions of our municipality is actually quite close. And they're about, I'm going to say around 32,000 population.
42, I believe.
42 now. So relatively a little bit bigger, but still similar size. So we'll be reaching out to them as well. So I've sent those surveys out. I'm starting to get them back. So I will create a big spreadsheet, create a report, and the goal is to bring something to council for the second meeting in June, so council can have some conversations around those fees and so on. So I just wanted to let everyone know that we're in the process of doing that. So,
Questions, comments? Steve?
What's our utilization rate on our facilities there? Are we 80, 90, 100%? So if we did increase a fee, we wouldn't lose that many people, that type of thing?
Depending on, so our ice utilization, extremely high. We would have a very difficult time if minor hockey was to expand their programming to find ice time for them. You will see later in the agenda an ice allocation policy item that we need to talk about. And a lot of that has to do with expanding enrollment for girls hockey. So.
Anyone else? Okay, let's move on to 5.2, Medal of Distinction Program Review.
So that is simply on the agenda because I said at the last meeting I was going to send around the Medal of Distinction Awards program for you to review, provide comment because we want to update it. We do have some suggestions from the committee that does the selection process. But I thought it was important that this committee get a look at the program and provide us some suggestions. So I'm going to give you about a month, so 30 days, and then I'll be reminding you probably around the third week that I'd like that information back if you've got updates. Because we will want to not relaunch it, but provide the updated program out to the public so we can start getting some applicants. So.
Donna, Councillor Pammer, sorry.
Yeah, what's the time frame? Like, when do you usually take nominations, and then when is the awards, and what is the award ceremony?
So typically, it's open nominations, so we'll receive them anytime. Typically, Paul, refresh my memory, when do we close nominations?
That's been a little bit varied. On the program, I think it still says May 31st, but we've extended that date, I think, to as late as October 31st. So that's part of the review that we're going to do as to whether we push that later and go with the date. Because we were holding the event at, I think we've done it at Family Day, I think we've done it at Winterfest, we've done different dates, so nailing that down to when we want to have that.
Part of the challenge that we have, and the reason why we're reviewing the program, is we're not getting the detailed information that we want to be able to make a solid decision. So someone will, I don't know, I'll just we'll nominate Donna. And they will say, nominate Donna Pammer. She has a successful business in the downtown core, volunteers lots of her time to different organizations and the Melissa organizations, and think that's enough. That's not enough to be able to determine whether or not she's a worthy recipient of the highest honor given to a civilian from the municipality of Strathroy-Caradoc. So there needs to be a lot more detail. What was the impact that you had on the community? How did that impact foster other involvement, maybe of other people, or how did you bring recognition to the community from outside the community, that kind of stuff, right? So we're working on trying to figure out how we can pull more information out of the people for those nominations. And Paul, you can, if you got anything to add, please do.
Yeah, I think just to build on your example, if we continue to use Donna as the example, we don't want to just hear those listed things. We want to hear how long you've been doing it, what the impact is that you've made, what are the projects that have been done, how much time have you put into this, because there's a big difference between volunteering for 20 years at 10 hours a year compared to volunteering for 20 years at 30 hours a week. So I think that's one component that we can do in our forum and give a little bit more push and content for the submitters to put something forward.
Councillor Poppin and then Councillor Pammer.
Yeah, this is a helpful conversation because I feel like I'm part of the reason this is on the agenda. Because I did nominate someone who was treasurer of a fairly prominent organization from 1967 until COVID hit, which I think is tremendous amount of stick-to-itiveness is the only word I can come up with. Dedication. And yet, they didn't win. And I'm not saying that the person that did win wasn't worthy, because he was. But, I wanted to see the program to see, could there be more than one? And then find out why the person that I nominated didn't get there, because I was like, holy mackerel, that's like 50 years being the treasurer of a prominent organization. Like, how much more do you got to do to so it's helpful to hear that other information, because I did not provide that stuff. I didn't provide what kind of special projects did you work on and stuff like that. It was purely, I was actually researching somebody else and came across this person and like, holy mackerel. So,
Councillor Pammer and then Paul.
Yeah, just along Steve's thoughts, I mean, I would say, why do we just have to have one? If people are deserving and meet a set of criteria, or that the committee feels, then who cares if one year we give out 5 and 1 year we give out 2 and 1 year we give out 1? That would be the first thing. And the second is, like, if you're using me an example, my husband couldn't give you all that information. information. Right? Like that, like, no, that's a lot, right? He'd be able to give you the highlights of my career, but he wouldn't be able to tell you how long I did that, or how many boards, how long I was on that board or this board. So, which makes me think, is what we're asking realistic? And could that be part of the committee's job, is to interview? So Steve nominates this person. Could the committee then have a discussion with Steve? Steve, tell me why you think Mr. Jones, and you, well, he did this or that, and what was the impact? Like, you can have that in a conversation you might get better information than expecting people to fill out forms in great detail. And it might save you a lot of time in the long run.
I think correct me if I'm wrong, Director, I think there was 2 winners this year, but I think the amount of winners has declined because of submissions. Is that correct?
It's not submissions and the quality of submissions,
And the
right?
quality.
So we even went to the extent this year to send submissions back asking for more information. I do like, because the idea was to ask more, open-ended or leading questions in the package. The idea of, potentially interviewing the nominator as part of the process may be something that the committee could consider. It's not a bad idea. Depending on the number of nominees, it could lengthen the process. But this is all very good conversation. So.
Paul?
The one thing I wanted to mention was it's an anonymous process, and that's part of why.
Oh.
Just for Steve's case, that would be it. We often get nominations, and people expect that we know what these people have done and who they are, and so you can go and take that information. The reason we do it anonymous is so that it's not based on whether it be a popularity or the flip side being an unpopular person that is presented forward. We wanted it to be a process that it is on the merit of the application and what the person has done. The actual person isn't it until it's been decided. So that's just a little bit of context as to why it is the way that it is, and why you've seen fewer and fewer people get it, because those nominations really haven't brought forth what it could be. And then to the point is that we think in the form, if we can add a little bit more of that, what's the duration of the volunteerism, what's the impact, what's the this, that, and whatever, so that there's more questions, because our current one hasn't provided that. It's just asked for the basic details and then left it to the submitter to fill in the blanks. And if they do, great. And we have some groups that are really good at doing that, but for the most part, it hasn't been. So that's where some really worthy people have not gotten this award, and that's where we're hoping to correct this, and if we can move forward so that we can acknowledge those people. And there is no limit. The first year we had 17. So
let's go to Brad and then to our members of council. Brad?
Thank you, Chair. Just question, have we or do we send out an email to all the service clubs, the sport binder, hockey, minor baseball, these guys? Because they might, in the early days, that's what kind of happened. I think everybody nominated somebody that was in their group that was well deserving.
Yeah, we've done that in the past. I can't remember if we've done it recently, but we have done it in the past. So,
Councillor Puckman and then Councillor Pammer.
Yeah, the only other thing that it's too late for this year, and maybe we want to consider in the future. The first year was really something with having 17 people up here. It was kind of cool. I felt like last year was kind of anticlimactic because there was really just your family in the galley. Would it be something we could do with the Chamber of Commerce Gala, where there's already an award ceremony with a dinner, and that might make it feel a little more special to the recipients that get it. Just something to think about in the future.
I was going to say, because Councillor Pammer, when she first introduced the comment, mentioned about presentations, would this fall under, because council recently approved 2 or 3 times a year where council, at the start of council, would be set aside for presentations or whatnot. would a medal of distinction fall under that umbrella as one of those presentations, one of 3 times a year or not?
I think that was for staff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, Councillor Pammer.
The only other, I'd be totally open to to the chamber, having a discussion about that. I think that would be a good idea. The other would be, my experience is that if you leave things open-ended, things don't get done. So I would say like the nomination time is January 1st till March 1st. And send that out to the service clubs and make it time sensitive. I think, yeah, if you just leave things open-ended, then it gets shuffled to over here and to the next meeting and maybe later and after the AGM, and yeah. I would, you could try, I mean, all you can do is try these different things and see if you get better results. But that would be one of my feedback.
So, not that I want to end conversations, this has been great dialogue. I just want to remind everyone the conversation that we've had, if you can send me those ideas so we can incorporate them. Or, you know, get them into a document that we can at least share with the group and you know, decide if that's how we want to proceed. But these are all been great conversations, and I just don't want to lose that.
Yeah, we have, I think Sherry, you want to make a comment, Sherry? Or question?
Yeah, I think it's just, well, it's still on the brain, why, and I'll try to remember all the points. I think a lot of it too is just where people are getting the information about it. I saw a lot of it reel through social media this last round and stuff like that, which is fine, and you can share it as much as you want and you can send it out to all the service groups. But I think when it also comes down to it, it's not just a service group initiative. You know what I mean? Like, because you talk about the volunteerism and everything else, which is like absolutely excellent, but when you're talking about a medal of distinction and someone saved a life and somebody did this, and you know what I mean, so how do you hit the other outside elements? Like where else does it get talked about? Does it get brought up at any other sorts of meetings and other locations and stuff like that that don't necessarily just focus around service, right? Like, just a thought.
Okay. And one more, Councillor Pelton?
I was just gonna say that's a similar problem to what we have with virtually everything in this municipality, is where are people getting their information? Because, you know, MyFM continues to be the sole source of news pretty much for the municipality, but not everybody listens to MyFM, and not everybody is on social media, and it's all fragmented, which makes things really difficult.
Well, staff will be bringing a report to council in June on the focus groups that we have with the seniors. And this was a bit of a hot topic for them. A lot of the comments was around, you know, we missed the paper and that kind of stuff. And they do use social media. One of the things that if we have audience members, if you do use social media and you wonder why you're not seeing anything coming from the municipality of Strathroy-Caradoc, we usually post 2 or 3 things a day. There are times when you need to go and actually search out the municipality of Strathroy-Caradoc to get the algorithm to understand that you want to see Strathroy-Caradoc's Facebook feed or Instagram or whatever it may be. The other item that came up and was community bulletin boards. That we've gotten away from you know, the ability to go and, you know, take a thumbtack and stick a piece of paper on a corkboard. So that's something that you know, you may see starting to pop back up again, at least in our rec centers, but in a more controlled fashion, maybe behind glass, so we can control what's going on the board. But that would be a perfect spot with regards to Sherry's comment. You know, then it's there. If someone's just standing there waiting for their kid to play hockey, you know, boom, you got that item. Or our PTP posters and flyers and stuff, we're going to be putting them up and so on. So we're looking at alternative ways to get the message out there. So.
Okay, really good discussion. Thank you. Reports of committees and departments, looking for a recommendation that the reports from committees and departments we received for information. Need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Pammer and Sherry, all in favor? Carried, thank you. 6.1.1 2025 list of projects updated.
It's just the ongoing list to remind you that we've got this program, that if you know of service clubs or businesses who want to participate in the PTP, we have budgeted $40,000 and we've currently spent, I believe it's $14,500 for the community garden. So there's still lots of money available to be able to partner with other groups in the community.
Councillor Putman.
Yeah, so for the committee's knowledge, last night at council, we received a condition assessment report. Is that what it's called? For all the parks?
Yep.
And there was a whole slew of stuff in there that needs to be repaired or replaced. Benches, playground equipment, swing sets. So I would like to see that list incorporated in here, so that it's visible and top of mind for anybody who might want to. I think virtually every swing set in the municipality needs to be replaced or updated in some way, shape, or form. And there's a lot of parks and bridges that need new benches and updated equipment. So I thought those were lots of good ideas that are a lot sexier to sell than some other things that we have on the docket.
Director, yes.
Sorry, Chair, just to build on the items, some playgrounds are getting dated, but the largest thing that was identified in the report was swing sets that need to be replaced. So if there are members of service clubs listening or businesses who want to partner with the municipality on something like that, please reach out, because kids always love the swings.
Councillor Pammer.
There is no municipal staff that go to the service clubs and talk about this, is there? Or is that part of your outreach?
There's currently not staff who go and attend service clubs, unless we're invited to go and talk.
Sherry.
Are there any of these that are already potentially started within the municipality itself that you've already started working towards, that community groups or other businesses and whatnot could just hop on? Or is it that they already have to come up with the idea of what they want to support first?
So you can pop in here, Paul, if anything comes to your mind. But the list that's on the back of the progress report, or through the flyer, so the second page is a list of projects that are available that that people want to get involved in, or organizations can get involved with. If there's a project that someone has in the back of their mind that would want to partner with the municipality through the Progress Through Partnership program, does not need to be on this list. What would happen there is that we would bring that project, typically we would bring that project to this committee to get recommendation for council to approve. If this committee's not sitting, because in the summertime we won't sit, staff would take that request straight to council. A perfect example is the autonomous mower that was purchased in partnership with the Strathroy United Football Club, where they provided 50% of the funds and PTP provided 50% of the funds. So.
Steve.
After these projects are built, so if we do these and build them, whose responsibility is to upkeep, keep them, update them, do all those things? Does it become strictly the municipality's responsibility? And then is your capital budget or your operating budget, is it built in to be able to accommodate these projects like that if we go and do this stuff?
Through the chair to member Steve, yes. So any project that is done becomes the asset of the municipality, 100% responsibility of the municipality. So it would be our responsibility to maintain and operate those pieces of equipment. Our operating budget has the funds to be able to do that maintenance. If there is a larger item that needs to be dealt with, and There's nothing really that's on the list that would need to be a capital purchase. So it'd all be coming out of our operating budget from a maintenance perspective, which is funded annually. And we haven't had an issue with running out of funds to maintain the program.
Follow up, Steve?
So swing sets and merry-go-rounds and slides and all those things really shouldn't be on this unless it was something new, because the operating budget should have covered that to maintain those things, correct?
So the swing sets that were in that report are 20 plus years old. So everything has a life cycle. Regulations and standards change. So you'll see if you were going through that parks condition assessment, majority of the swing sets were identified in Ward 2. So those are older than, I'm going to say 25 years old, which means that they're at an age where they would need to be replaced. It's not a matter of not being maintained. It just comes down to the point that at some point in time, no different than the human body, things start to break down and need to be replaced from time to time. For adding them into this program would be ideal. The swing set's going to be $20,000 to $25,000 depending on what type of swing set you're looking to purchase. So that's $10,000 from the municipality and $10,000 from a service club gets us a new swing set that's going to last us for 25 years. Where the maintenance comes in playgrounds is more around the safety surfacing, around the connection points where the seats and the belts connect to the chains, or the pivots where the chains connect in the upper bar. Because when those wear, you need to replace them every now and again, and you don't want them to snap when someone's actually on the swing set. So the swing set themselves are typically a 25-year life expectancy, give or take.
Councillor Pammer.
So I feel like I would like to do some outreach, and I would be willing to go to some service clubs with this promotional stuff in hand. And I don't know if any of the other committee members would be interested. A suggestion would be if you could put together a list of service clubs in Strathroy and Mount Bridges or potential funding partners and circulate it, and then we could kind of sign up, to do some. I'd be happy to do a couple. I don't think enough people, and we use acronyms a lot, so they'll probably hear PTP thrown around, and it used to be a different program because I think John was on a committee years ago with PTP, it was different.
Yeah.
So I think that if we want to get the community excited about the opportunity in this service clubs, I think we need to talk to them and explain how the program works and the opportunity, and not pressuring anybody, but just saying, hey, this, if your service club's interested. I don't know, you're a member of a service club. What do you think, Chris, if we did that?
You want the honest answer?
Yeah.
We've had opportunity to have members of the staff in before to do presentations on inquiries in our service club, and there's been mixed. The welcome mat has been half rolled up and half laid out, if you know what I mean, right? So
We're not staff.
what's that?
We're not staff, we're volunteers.
What? True, but when you have somebody like the director come in, or somebody like Paul Lattimore come in or whatnot, they are representing the municipality as staff, and that's the optics from the service club, right? So depends on this. I'll be honest with you, it depends on the service club. I know there's a lot of people in my service club that would welcome a presentation like this, but there's also members within those service clubs that are just waiting for the presentation to be over and let's move on. And that's being totally honest. But all service clubs are different, right? So from my perspective, I think it would be nice to have somebody come in from a CDAC volunteer member or a member of staff or whatnot, or a counselor, to come in and make a presentation of some opportunities.
I'd be happy to do that.
Steve?
How do they go about picking the equipment then? So if it's like a 50-50, is it the municipality that decides? Is it this committee that decides? Is it the people who are putting in the other 50%? How do they go about doing that?
So I'll use the autonomous mower as an example. We worked with the soccer club and we brought out a demo unit and we both agreed, we got all the specs, did some research on it, and both parties agreed that that was the appropriate mower for what we wanted to do. If we're looking at swing sets or whatever, there's going to be a set standard, a minimum standard that we're going to need to have to meet. It's a CSA standard. So we're not able to go to Canadian Tire and grab a swing set off of Canadian Tire showroom. We have to go through a qualified provider that has the CSA designation, as well as it needs to be AODA compliant. So there's lots of regulations around how we would get the swing. We would then either go through an RFP for a swing set, or we would go through what's a program called Canoe, which is a cooperative purchasing program, which is approved through the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and we work with the organization that we would be partnering with to get a swing set that's suitable and meets the standards and satisfied by both parties. So it's just a conversation.
You good? Sherry, and then Paul.
Is there a stipulation within the municipality that you want to hold a standard of how much is accessible, like use in most of these parks? Like some parks have the accessible swings for children and individuals with disabilities. Others may not. Is there a balance that you're trying to do? Because then, of course, that's going to affect cost on like an accessible swing versus just a standard swing.
So our goal is to make all playgrounds accessible in one format or another. So when we go and put up a new swing set, we want to have some form of an accessible swing. Maybe it's a saucer swing, maybe it's a special bucket swing, right? So, we're not gonna put two saucer swings in parks side by side. If we put a saucer swing here and 5 blocks away, we would look at putting a bucket swing, just so we have some diversity in the community, because every special needs are different amongst the community. So we don't want to disregard anybody. So we try to mix it up a little bit in that respect.
Paul?
I just wanted to tack on a little bit to Steve's question. You asked who gets to choose. At the end of the day, we're making the choice, but this is a little bit like buying a car where we want to make sure that it fits everybody that's going to use it, and we want you to come back and ideally buy another car maybe later on. So we want to make sure that we design something and we create something that the partner for the project is happy with as well. So it's not just to throw in your money on the table and we're going to do whatever we do with your money. We want to make sure, and we come back with designs and say, this is what we're looking at, what do you think? And it's usually that's awesome, thanks. And if that's not really what we were thinking and the way we would want our money to go, then that's usually when we go back to the table and make sure that everybody at the end of the day is happy with the project that's produced. So
the most recent example of that would be the community garden, where we worked with the Faulkner family to come up with the sign which we're going to be putting into the community garden, recognizing Arda. So that was worked through with the family, so they, whether we shared what the design looked like, they had a request, so we're going to accommodate that request and stuff. So it's a bit of collaboration, but at the end of the day, ultimately it's our decision because we're the ones that are going to need to wear it.
Are we still able to add to this list? And if we wanted to add some items, you just want us to send an email to you, or?
That would be perfect. Sorry, Chair, speaking to Donna's point about outreach and going to service clubs, staff can I would suggest a staff member go with you, with a CDAC member. I wouldn't, not that we're sending it out to the wolves, but I think there should be some staff representation there. But staff can pull together a PowerPoint of, you know, past projects, you know, basically a bit of a flow chart on how the program works, and you know, half a dozen slides and you're in and out. It gives you some talking points and so on. So if that's what the committee wants to do, I have no issues. Paul reaching out to the different service clubs and seeing if there's anyone interested for us to come and do a presentation, then we can do. We don't need to force ourselves into the clubs, but we can always reach out and ask if they would like a presentation, and then we can go from there.
Any other comments, questions? Steve?
To the chair, are the service clubs quite healthy? Like, is the volunteerism there for you? Is the budgets there for you? Like, is it something that they're looking to do? Like, if we're out there canvassing them for this thing or showing this thing, do they have the resources to be able to do stuff like that?
I can only speak to my service club. Maybe member Brad wants to add about his service club. Our membership is good. As of late, there's a lot of positive views on giving more back to the community. It's just over the last recent years or whatnot, when ideas have been brought that in some ways optically look like very good potential projects that the Lions could partner in on with the municipality, it's not received as the same consensus, right? So there's a lot of ideas being pushed forward, not a lot being accepted, but as far as moving forward and healthy wise, the service club's pretty good. It's in good shape. Did you want to touch on, Brad?
You're one of the luckier ones. Our club is not that good. We're down to about 12 members, and we're still busy, we're still active, but we're doing the Easter egg hunt on the 19th. But it's hard to do that big project. You just don't have the bodies. We used to bartend, we used to do all kinds of stuff, but it's just the older members are dying off, and then new ones aren't coming on. So it's tough. We got some work to do there. Yeah.
Councillor Kramer.
But on the other hand, if we look at like Rotary locally, they built the splash pad, they did the palliative care unit at the hospital, they did the trail. So, you know, they're doing the garden boxes, the public garden, community garden. Sorry?
The skate park.
And the skate park. So yeah, I think that, and sometimes there are projects that take multi-year. But what I like about this list is some of this is like a garbage cans, tree donations, right? So even a smaller club or a smaller association could, you know, hopefully get involved.
Or an individual.
Or an individual even, or a corporation, and I'd be happy to share this with chamber members. But, you know, some things like a splash pad obviously is gonna be a longer, bigger commitment. But there's also the agricultural groups, like the societies, the ag societies, and the, you know, egg farmers. They have an association, and I'm sure the cattle farmers do too. There's other associations besides like Rotaries and, Lions Club.
Yeah, absolutely. Just before we go to Councillor Pelkman, and there's service clubs that do a lot of work in the community, Rotary Club, but it all depends on the demographic of the club too. You have different demographics within those walls where they meet, right? So Brad's club might want to do certain things, whereas the Rotary Club or the Lions Club might not be interested in that, or they might go down different routes. So it all depends on demographics too. But the Rotary Club, Councillor Pam is an example, very good, because Rotary Club has done a ton for the community, and so have the other social clubs as well. Let's not take away from that as well. Councillor Pelkman?
Yeah, I was just gonna add that some of those clubs that aren't doing so well are sometimes opportunity as well. So take, for example, the IODE, when they folded, they were sitting on a bunch of cash. And so they decided to invest in the refurbishing of the cenotaph beside Town Hall here. So, there are Odd Fellows clubs out there that membership's getting pretty old. There may still be some women's institutes in the area that may have a pocket of cash stashed away, legacy money that's been there for decades, but nobody has energy or ideas for them. So,
Anyone else? good discussion again. I have no problem bringing it back to my service club as far as having representation show up at a meeting if the club's interested. So I can do that on behalf of myself.
Yeah, and I think to Donna's point, we don't wanna shove any ideas, it's just education. You know, that, hey,
Agreed.
if you have an idea, here's some stuff that we know needs to be done, but if you got something else, then we're happy to partner.
Yeah, and just stemming off what the director said, using the community garden as an example, another example was the Lions disc golf course.
Yes.
That Lions partnered with the municipality to use Centennial Park. And there's demand coming in to have out-of-town groups coming in and running events tailored to disc golf, for example. So it does work. It needs to be, and as Paul mentioned, it needs to fit. It needs to fit on both sides of the conversation. But when it does fit, it's really good to see. So, any other comments, questions? Okay, let's move to new business. 7.1 registration update. We'll begin with camps. I assume we're going to Paul here, Director. Paul Lattimore, please.
Thank you. Just brief updates on that. Our registration continues to be good. We're about 118 registrations away from where we finished last year. So you can get an idea that we're pretty much topping out here. We're in that season where parents are withdrawing because they realize they booked and they were jumping on top of things, but now their plans have changed. And then we get the other sets of parents that realize that they haven't booked anything yet and are, oh no, there's not much left. So, yep, going really well. Our team is in place, so we have a full set of staff, at least with signed contracts. So we got 39 staff between our leadership and our camp counselors ready to take care of these kids. So yeah, looking good on that side of things. Swim lessons, registration going really well. This was the first year that we opened up I want to say 2 weeks after we opened up for camp. So that's about 2 months ahead of schedule. And we're a little bit more than 2 months ahead of registration as well. So we're well on pace. I think we're 83 away from the 2024 numbers that we had, and we haven't even gotten close to the season yet. And if you know, with swim registrations, we do 4 different sessions a lot of times. You wait for the first couple sessions to see whether you're going to register again for the 3rd and 4th. So really happy where that's at. Our team is almost set there too. I think we're waiting for a couple more lifeguards to sign contracts, and we'll have that team in place as well. So things certainly coming together for the summer. Any questions before I move on with that?
How long is the swimming lesson season? Is it one program for the entire summer, or?
No, we do 4 sessions, so they're 2-week sessions.
Okay.
So first 2 weeks of July, then the next 2 weeks, then
Okay.
2 more sessions in August.
Any questions regarding swimming lessons or camp? Steve?
When do the actual pools open?
So, can't give you a specific date. Our target is the first week of June. I mean, if the weather continues the way that it has been, it might be a little bit longer. And then we always have to see how the pool has wintered over the year, whether we've got things that need to be repaired. And then we have to get our inspections in order as well, make sure that everything's on track there. So yeah, we're shooting for the first week of June so we can get our staff in there and get them trained and then ready to open up so we can start bringing in school groups during the day, and then we'll have weekends and evenings we can start to do some public swims and stuff. So yeah.
Any other questions regarding camps or swimming lessons for Paul? Okay, market update. Are you staying with you, Paul?
Yeah, I'll give a brief update. Kate's not here tonight, but registration's coming along okay. Looks like we've got 91 individual registrations, 31 seasonal booths, so we certainly want to see those numbers increase a little bit more, but definitely, I think we've got 94 registrations for the first night market, so that's good. That's usually not much of an issue to get. And then, yeah, working from there, we've got some I think 7 seasonal BIA spaces as well, so we're getting a mix of things out there. I guess that's it for the updates there.
When's the first market to be the night market? When's that? Do you have a date on that?
Yeah, that's the May 2 for the Saturday.
Saturday of the holiday weekend?
Is that the 18th, 17th, or 18th?
Okay. Any other questions regarding the market? Okay. Thank you, Paul.
17th. There you go.
May 17th. Thank you. 7.2 ice allocation policy review.
So we, this is on here, we just recently did a review in 2023 where we met with all of the user groups. The significant change in 2023 was we added interest to outstanding accounts, and if we had outstanding accounts more than 60 days, it required staff to generate a report and bring that report to council with a recommendation to suspend the ice time until such time as they became current again. What we've run into now, and I'm not sure how many of you are aware, but minor hockey, so that's the boys teams, they no longer have boundaries. So as the definition on in the policy says for you that you need to have 85% of your players have to be residents of Strathroy-Caradoc to be eligible for the minor rate. We don't know what removing the boundaries is going to do from a local perspective. So we may have teams that can't reach the 85% threshold. So that's a bit of a challenge. We also are having, there's a good growth in girls hockey, which is going to require us to even potentially look at our formulas and how we allocate ice time. So because the formulas require, based on your registration numbers, how much ice you get. So we're bringing it forward to this committee, not for you to be worried or do anything, but as more of information that over the next 3, 4, 5 months, staff are going to be doing a deep dive into this policy and be researching what other municipalities are doing as well to see how they're going to handle this open border for minor hockey. Because that will have an impact on the local content, or could have an impact on local content. So I just wanted to basically raise this item as something that we'll be coming back and forth to this committee a few times over the next period of time.
Questions, comments? Steve, and then Councillor Talkman and Councillor Taylor.
So can you clarify what impact that will have for them? So you said 85% of the participants in the program have to be in the municipality to qualify for a discounted rate for that group, right?
That's correct. Unless they're defined as a regional team. So what I mean by regional team, so Blue Water Hawks is a regional team because they draw, to be able to run a successful league, they draw from more than Strathroy-Caradoc. So they've been defined as a regional team. Strathroy Minor Hockey is a local team, a local organization, so they have boundaries that they have to work within. So this is where we're running into some conflict. So if they don't meet that threshold, the ice would go up 12, 14%, somewhere around there. So there's a discount about 12 to 14% in Prime.
Quick follow-up, and then we'll move on, Steve. Go ahead.
So what that would mean then is that minor hockey just might, because their boundaries have changed and become larger, they would have to deem themselves a regional group then.
That is the direction that we're leaning towards.
Right.
What we're wondering, what what we want to know is what other municipalities are doing. So are they putting a local content number? So say instead of it being 85%, is it 50%? Right? So also out of the user fee review that I've started seeing, there are municipalities that do not give minor sporting groups discounts. What happens there is then the minor sporting group has to come to council seeking relief. I'm not suggesting we do that, but what I'm saying is that is out there in the municipal world.
And just a clarification, the minor hockey is both male and female. So both male and female can play it.
Correct.
So women's hockey only would be a special interest group, right? Because the guys can't play on the girls' teams, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the rules are for OWHA with regards to gender appointment. I don't know. I don't know what that is.
So
I can
minor hockey's both, and Blue Water Hawks is
I can't answer
exclusive.
that. I don't know that, Steve.
Well, we know minor hockey is.
Yes, yes. Minor hockey, yes. Boys and girls can play. I don't know if girls and boys can play.
Right, so
girls
when you
hockey.
guys are evaluating that, you're gonna look into that, right?
Well,
Doesn't matter.
I don't know if it matters.
Because that would be a special interest group, whereas the minor hockey is inclusive of all, right?
I'm not gonna go down that road. What I'll do is I will be surveying what other municipalities are doing, and I'll present that information. If I get direction from council to go that route, then that would be the direction I take. When I look at girls hockey is one of the fastest growing sports for girls in, well, I'm going to say Ontario. Whether it's because there are fewer girls playing boys hockey and they're now playing girls hockey, I don't know. I'm not an expert in that. What I know is minor hockey, we don't call it a minor hockey rate, we call it a minor sporting group rate. So we have a minor sporting group rate for hockey, we have a minor sporting group rate for figure skating, we have a minor sporting group rate for ball hockey, minor sporting group rate for lacrosse, and so on. So as long as they're under the age of, I think it's 18, they're eligible for that minor sporting group, and there's a condition, there's a whole definition on page 2 of the policy.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Putman.
Yes, thank you. I think, we need to be mindful of how much staff time we can put into this. And, that change of boundaries is beyond our control. And so my first reaction would be to stay the course and see how it shakes out. Because, we don't need people screaming at the municipality because we changed the rules, because we think the situation has changed. I guess the only other question that I had is wondering if you had any knowledge about Dr. Chant's project, because that may help us actually relieve some pressure.
On their website it says they plan on breaking ground in the fall of 2025. So whether what phase that is, I don't know.
So maybe just for the rest of the committee, if they don't know where that is, the old nursing home on Gideon, that's been shuttered for decades. Yeah. It's that piece of property, so it's not in our municipality, but it's pretty close.
Councillor Palmer.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, for those who might not know, I think of why this is of interest to me is the fact that hockey and rinks are heavily subsidized by taxpayers. The cost recovery doesn't happen in a hockey rink. So local taxpayers are paying a big chunk of the operation of our municipal arenas. And so that's fine if it's our kids using them, right? And I don't think anybody objects to that. But if things change so much that it's outside users using them more often than our own kids, and the local taxpayers are carrying the burden, then I think that this is where we have to do some investigating, and I think that Rob's right to look at what other municipality, every municipality runs the same way. So I'm sure everybody's looking at the same thing to make, how do we make this fair? The reason why, minor sports gets a discount is because we know that those are our kids, and those kids' parents pay taxes, and that's part of our community. But, I've had, we've talked before about, people using day camps too, coming from other municipalities. That's also subsidized by taxpayers, and so should we have a levy for that? And I know that's a discussion for another day, but it's come up again. So I kind of see the similarity, though, between what's happening here is the same as when you have outside people coming to use your pool or your day camps or what have you, because it is actually the local taxpayer that's subsidizing that.
So if I'm a resident of Ward 2 and my child's playing hockey in Kamoka, because that's where the team is using ice, where am I paying my taxes to? That's the question. Am I paying it to Middlesex Center, or am I paying it to Strathroy-Caradoc? Even though we're not using the ice in Mount Bridges. Okay, thank you. Paul?
Just one of the questions was, what could the impact be? Because I think it's a what could it be, because we don't know yet. And I don't think we'll really know until this next season happens and we see what the stats are. But if we hold to our policy, what naturally will probably happen is the cost of hockey will go up 12 to 14% for the users. And that will be a cost that will go on to the families playing hockey, because we'll be primarily at a prime rate. Will it help with our cost recovery? To Donna's point, that will help a little bit because we'll be subsidizing less. But that's where the cost will go on to the families, which will be both non and resident families. So that's where I see this going. If we hold to this policy and we keep that in place, you'll see an increase in the cost of hockey.
And so we're looking into this now. I'm not suggesting that we're going to have changes ready for the season coming up in September, because they've already started the registrations and so on. What we need to do is get ready for when we start having questions that are coming our way. So we'll apply the policy the way it is today. If when we go out and we do grab the residency data from the organizations and we find out that we're not at an 85 item, then that's a conversation that we're going to have, and it might be I would suggest it's a conversation we have at council with regards to how you want us to apply the policy moving forward until such time as we get it changed. When that occurs is unclear at this point for me, but
I have a question for the director. Does the municipality have a cap with minor hockey? Because there's lots of users, obviously. Strathroy Skating Club, Power Skating, Magic Blades, Sunday Night Men's League, Blue Water, Strathroy-Caradoc minor hockey. Is there a cap on minor hockey as far as if minor hockey grows to a certain extent, and if it keeps growing, it might unintentionally have to push other users out? Like, does the municipality have a cap on minor hockey? You can only grow as far as this percentage because we need to supply service to our other users.
So page 4 of the policy actually has our ice entitlement formula. So based on age and the expected amount of ice that they would be allocated and so on. So we have not had to activate this formula. So far, the user groups have been relatively stable, Paul, in the amount of ice that they've been requesting, because they know they're trying to be fair to all groups. But there could be a time when whether it's girls hockey or minor hockey or figure skating, or let's say all of a sudden there's a broomball league that starts up, right? There's a provision in the ice allocation policy that allows for the starting of a new league. So does that, we haven't had to implement it, but there is a process.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Putnam.
Yeah, I just, you know, I have a feeling it will take a couple of years for this change to shake out. And, you know, I think it's wise that you do the research now and then sit back and watch and have options ready, because where we could be in a situation is London is growing rapidly, but has not increased their ice surfaces. So if rumor gets out that, hey, sign your kid up in Strathroy-Caradoc because their group's still accepting, then we may have an influx of children that, you know, really aren't even close neighbors or anything like that. So I do think at the moment, you know, we need to stay the course and not get too excited about it. Watch to see what happens. You know, I think back though to the report that said we should have got rid of one ice rink by now, and thank God we didn't. But also, you know, with the ice allocation policy, what a minefield when you read it. Really don't want all those people yelling and screaming unnecessarily. So I think stability is really important. The groups know what they can kind of expect, and unless we see a drastic change where we really need to force out a user, I would be really skeptical of making drastic changes.
That's kind of where my comment earlier came from, was that exact same report, which stated a stat on Ward 2 users using facilities outside of Ward 2. So that's where that came from.
I would suspect that the change in policy for minor hockey is a result of declining enrollment across the province. But we're in an area of population growth, both in Strathroy-Caradoc and Middlesex Centre and London, where ice rinks have not increased. I mean, Kamoka was the last new ice surface, which is now 20 years old?
No, 15, it's 15.
Yeah.
It's 15.
It's closer.
It's up there.
15.
Yep.
It is 15.
Gemini is 25, so.
It is 15 because I started here 13 years ago and Kamoka was opened a couple
You know,
years
when
before
you
I
look at the
started.
population explosion since then. So, I mean, when that whole report came out, I remember driving around on bridges to see who was living here and who was moving into the new subdivisions, because I wanted to see, is it retirees or is it young families? And it's all young families, you know, but those families are gonna grow and those kids are gonna move through. So what happens now that those homes have increased from what was a $500,000 home to now a $900,000 to $1 million home, may change the demographic of who ends up moving in. So those are all balls that we gotta manage. So yeah, it's a watch and wait and see, and you know, again, you know, we don't have a plethora of staff to start digging into groups of who's the makeup of the group. We kind of have to depend on them handing us the information, and then anything that we implement has to be cognizant of how much staff time would go into managing that. It's got to be a pretty simple process, because if we make it complicated, we're going to hear complaints on the other end. So.
Jagger.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, how is that 85% typically policed now? Is that sort of sussed out through the application by the minor sports organization for their discount, or how would that be done?
So all we do, and it's an honor system, that's what it is. Once a year, we'll send out a form asking the organizations to submit residency data. So we have a list of all of the communities in the area, so whether it's Adelaide Metcalfe, Middlesex Centre, North Middlesex, Strathroy-Caradoc, and then we ask them to input the number of players from each region. For the most part, it's easy to get that information. Most of the information, most of the time looks, yeah, okay. You know, have we gone and cross-referenced those numbers with anything else, like the registration data that's with the minor hockey organizations or figure skating or girls hockey? No. It's a honor system. And Paul, your team's the one that takes the lead on that, so if you got anything to add.
I think it's safe for me to leave that one with you.
Any other questions or comments? Director, you need anything from us on this, or this is a wait and see right now with the policy review, or?
Yeah, this was more of a, wanted to throw this out here, let you know what's on our radar, that we're going to be doing a bit of a deep dive, doing our research. I think staff appreciate the wait and see approach, because we don't know what's gonna happen. So being reactive right now may be the wrong thing to do. But I think it's important that we do some research and see what everybody else is doing out there in other municipalities, just to see what the temperature is and what direction people are headed. So.
Okay. 7.3 sports field allocation policy.
This is a draft. This isn't a formalized document yet. I just put it out there in front of you, just more of awareness. Staff want to meet with the organizers of the baseball, soccer, and so on to get some further opinions on it. It mirrors the ice allocation policy. There is no formula with regards to determining who gets what and so on. Because baseball is baseball and soccer is soccer. They're two different fields. What we are trying to do moving forward, though, historically, baseball would just give us a blank schedule, and they essentially got majority of the diamonds, and we didn't know when they were playing and when they weren't playing, so they bulk book. No different than soccer would bulk book. What we're trying to do is we're going to take their bulk bookings, let their leagues figure out what their schedules are, and then we want them to let us know what their schedule is, so we can input it into our system, so now we have the ability to sell any remaining soccer fields or ball diamonds that may be sitting vacant. Because historically what's happened is, and I'll just pick on soccer as an example, they'll book Monday to Thursday from 5 o'clock right through to 11 o'clock, but they may not have soccer on a field from 9 to 11. So we could have an outside team looking for a field to practice on that we could generate some revenue from. So working with soccer, they're going to provide us those schedules when they get them, so we can kind of narrow things down a little bit and maybe make some more revenue.
Councillor Palkin and then Steve.
I don't really have a question on the allocation policy, but just wondering a quick update on the ball diamonds that we were switching, and are they gonna be ready for the season?
I was going to ask that too.
So, yes. So
I'll fit that in where.
So the diamond at the Yorkview Community Park, the only very little remaining work needs to be done. The diamond itself is finished, so we can go and play a game out there tomorrow. But the periphery, so we've still got some asphalt work that needs to be done, bleachers to be installed, signage, and then the pitching cages for warm-up. So there's a little bit of work that needs to be done. The diamond can be used and played on, provided we don't get any more snow, anytime. The diamond down in Alexander Park, again, is the same, is ready to go. Some minor touches, we may want to clean up some baselines and stuff like that, but for the majority of it, we'll be ready to go for May 1st.
Before we go to Steve, is that that diamond in Alexander Park, is that strictly a non-mound diamond now? So no hardball anymore there, or?
So wouldn't say no hardball, there would be no hardball with a mound.
Correct.
Right, so.
And, okay, and still remaining as Royals Field title?
Correct, yes.
Steve and then Paul.
If I could just jump in,
go ahead. Yeah.
just because we asked for updates on the field. We're targeting a late May, early June for a grand opening at the York Park for the Jays Care grant. So that is something, once we get that asphalt and the bleachers and those other pieces done, we'll be targeting that. So I just wanted to squeeze that in so we could give that update with the diamonds as it was. But
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'll squeeze in if the municipality can keep local media abreast of those details, would be appreciated. Steve?
I was just wondering, where do most of the expenses come from then in running soccer fields and then running ball diamonds? Would it be the lighting? Would it be the grass cutting? Would it be the, marking the lines? Where would that expense come from, most of that stuff?
Yes. All of the above, Steve. The largest expense is cutting grass. So sports fields we cut twice a week. And then, so it's the cutting of the grass, the line trimming, but we also roll, minimum once a year, we aerate once a year, we fertilize, 3 to 4 times a year, we irrigate, 2-3 times, depending on the year, could be 4 times a week, and so on. So there is a large expense that does get shoved into those sports fields, whether it's soccer or baseball.
I would add that in the capital budget, we've spent a fair amount of money on bleachers and hundreds of thousands of dollars on new light fixtures.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
So operational expenses is grass cutting and so on. The capital expenses are primarily around, and we're doing 2 ball diamonds at 1 soccer field this year for lighting, and it's about $700,000 to change those lights out to LED. Then we're, about every 5 years, we're probably 20 to 30, maybe $50,000 for infill material, so new clay and so on. But that's not, over 5 years, it's what, $10,000 a year to maintain the diamonds, so that's not too bad, but they're not inexpensive.
And is the one behind the Legion, is that owned by the municipality or is that a private one?
The Strathroy Legion?
Yeah.
It's on Legion property, so it's operated by the Legion.
I do have to send a shout out to the municipality from a soccer perspective because even before the partnership with the auto mower, the municipality did a very good job of maintaining the fields. The lighting has just been brilliant for the stadium field, where last year we were taking inquiries from clubs outside the municipality to come and have exhibition games at that stadium field, including Premier London, First Division Ontario, and stuff like that. So the partnership and a lot of people had criticism for the auto mower, I'll admit it, on social media and all that stuff, but we're talking about over 800 kids, which includes over 800 families, utilizing those fields that are very well maintained by both now the auto mower and the staffing from the municipality and SUFC for what they do as well. So just want to send a shout out to that because people are noticing outside the municipality as well. So any other comments, questions regarding? Oh, Director.
I do have a comment about that because I'd be remiss if I didn't speak about the sporting organizations that do use our fields. So minor soccer does, they work very well with the municipality, so they line the fields. That's their contribution is they have someone, they pay for the material, they bought the equipment, and they line the fields for all of their soccer games. Minor baseball works well with this as well when we're looking at doing upgrades to fields and so on. So it is a true partnership when we're working with these organizations. So whether it's sporting groups, and there is a section on here on partnerships coming up. So I think you'll be surprised at the number of partnerships that we actually have as a department.
Okay, let's move to 7.4, sponsorship update.
I'll give just a quick update here. This is usually an area that Kate would address, but this will kind of go hand in hand with the conversation we had around PTP. We set a target this year, $40,000 to generate in sponsorships for our events. We're on track for about just short of 30,000. As you can imagine, it's competitive landscape out there when it comes to dollars for things. There's a lot of great causes going on and some added ones in the community. But what we're asking, I think, for this group is when you're out advocating for the municipality, if you can keep sponsorship on your mind in our events as well, when you're talking to businesses and individuals that maybe have a little extra money in their pocket that they want to contribute to some wonderful events that we host. So just keep that in mind.
Thank you, Paul. Any other comments, questions regarding sponsorship? Okay. 7.5, partnership update.
So I just, Paul and I just wanted to bring forward and really let people know, and let this committee know, the number of partners that the Community Services Department actually works with. And you'll notice everything from minor sporting groups to grants, to service clubs, to local businesses, and to different program partners. You know, there's 20 or 30 different groups that we work with on a regular basis to provide the services that the department provides. There's you know, a lot of assets, and I'll use the Fairgrounds Recreation Complex as a good example. That venue itself, when I started here, had a ball diamond, 2 horse paddocks, tennis courts, and that was it. It now boasts a ball diamond, basketball courts, beach volleyball courts, skate park, pump track, pool, train, 2 playgrounds, a pavilion. Did I miss anything? And the direct taxpayer input into all of those assets is about $40,000. The rest of that money came from service clubs, businesses, and grants. So about 40,000 direct taxpayer dollars have gone into the upgrades that have occurred at that property. And I think it's important that we recognize all of the people on this list, just to give them a bit of a shout out, because we wouldn't be able to do what we do without their assistance. So I thought it was important that we had that sharing.
Comments, questions? Okay. We'll go around the shoe here for inquiries or comments from members, and we'll start with Sherry, because I want to see if Councillor Pelkman has anything to say. Sherry, do you have anything tonight?
Yeah, so Battle of the Bands coming up this Saturday. Everything's looking really good with it. I am gonna also pay kudos to Hometown Festival for doing what they do on a 3-day basis, because this has been an experience for only just hosting for one night. But yeah, everything's looking great. Ticket sales are still moving quite well. We will be offering, you still can get advance tickets all the way up till Saturday, but we will be also charging $35 at the door if you show up in that evening, up until we're at capacity. But yeah, everything's been good with it. Looking forward to it.
Thank you. Jagger?
Nothing on my end, thank you.
Thank you. Steve?
The Battle of the Bands, where is it at?
The Mount Bridges Community Center.
Anything else, Steve? Thank you. Brad?
No, good tonight, Chris.
Thank you. Paul?
I just want to mention the community gardens. We talked about it a little bit before, the Arda Faulkner Community Garden. On the partnership side of things, really cool the number of groups that we have involved with this, and just how it's come to fruition, from Faulkner's contributing a ton of work and product into this. The Rotary Club putting $10,000 towards it through the PTP program. Telha, ETOP Metal Roofs is doing the structure roof. The HCC has built the boxes for the gardens and are going to build the structure. And Acorn Services is helping with the trees. We got a grant through Tree Canada for the orchard. And we even have one more group that may be helping out as well, but I won't say anything until it's official. So just as you hear, like, that's how this department works, and that's how we are resourceful in making sure that we leverage what we have, and then use the community where we can to make things happen. And so we are targeting April 25th as the grand opening for that park, and hopefully we'll get planting in there and have some stuff growing for this spring.
Well, I apologize if you said it. I'll preface that, but can you tell the group the location of the community garden?
Yeah, it's on Park Street, right across from Trout Haven.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Pelham, perfect timing. That's why we started with Sherry. Do you have any inquiries or comments today?
No, nothing other than keep up the great work. You know, one of the things I think we have to be is our own salespeople. You know, we could be looking at a very difficult couple of years if what happens politically wise south of the border starts to affect local business, and that's going to make things like the market and the events, the Rib Fest, more important because people may be opting not to go away and stay in town, and we need to provide them with outlets to enjoy their communities. So, you know, sponsorships I suspect may decrease. We need not to panic about that. And if that means we shoulder a little more of the burden for the time being, so be it. But people need to enjoy where they're living, and if they start to curtail their spending, these things will be more and more important, as will our park system.
Thank you. Councillor Palmer.
Yeah, I was chatting with a couple yesterday who have lived in the community about 3 years, and you know, they said to me they're just like blown away with all the services we have here. You know, all the things happening all the time, the events, the things, whether it's, you know, tennis or pickleball or a market. They actually, you know, just said we don't toot our own horn enough, that, you know, it really is something, and not a lot of communities are faring as well, especially one that they had come from. So keep up the good work.
Thank you. I have a few things just to comment to Sherry, and I'll try doing a 4-day festival because that's what we're doing this year. Sure. So coming up on next Tuesday, for those of you who are interested, Rogers TV's presenting a Middlesex London federal election all candidates town hall at the Portuguese Club starting at 7 p.m. open to the public. One of our moderators, executive director of the chamber, Pammer, is going to be on as one of the moderators, so it's open to the public. If you have any questions, check out the posts all over multiple pages on social media as to where you can send your questions to. Speaking of Donna Pammer, this is the first meeting we've had since you've been named as the executive director for the Strathroy District Chamber of Commerce, so congratulations on that. Coming up is the Strathroy Lions annual Good Friday brunch, April the 18th. All proceeds going back to the community. If you want to start your Easter weekend the right way, starts at 8 a.m. Optimus Club, in partnership with the municipality, doing a Easter event. Can you give us some details on that, Brad?
Yes, 12 to 2. The registration starts at 12, and the actual egg hunt will be around 1 o'clock. There is skating at the inside the arena. I think from the same time, 12 to 2, I believe it is.
And the date on that, Brady?
It's Saturday the 19th.
Okay, so right after the Easter Saturday.
On the Easter weekend, yeah.
Perfect.
1 to 3.
Yep.
1 to 3 for the skating.
1 to 3.
Perfect. Want to get that in there for the Optimus Club as well. And special thanks to Melanie, as always, for being here with us to help us with minutes and all that. She never gets a thank you, so I thought I'd thank her today. Next meeting scheduled for Tuesday, May the 13th at 6 p.m. And I'll need a mover to adjourn. What do I do? Oh, I need a second or two. I always forget that. Councillor Pammer and Jagger, all in favor? Carried. Thank you very much and good night. I always forget that.